Well, welcome to Steve Tees Off here. We're in a new season. We're into January here, and it's sponsored by riversidegolf.ca. And today's guest is Matthew Steinbach.
Hi, welcome. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. You are the Chief Executive Officer of British Columbia Golf.
That's right.
What is BC Golf, British Columbia Golf? Tell the viewers, the listeners, what British Columbia Golf is.
So at our most basic level, we're the provincial sport organization for the province. So we would administer the amateur game of golf for the province. So that's from kind of first touch to last touch, junior golf, amateur golf, senior golf. Some of the core functions that we provide is your course rating, your handicapping, the score center. We run our provincial championships. We run development programs throughout the entire pathway. Again, like I said, from junior golf to senior golf. So in general, we are the stewards of the game for the province of BC.
And how do you receive your funding?
Our funding is primarily through membership. And so anyone who joins Golf Canada, British Columbia Golf, we actually split 50-50 right down the middle for your annual membership. So it's $52 or $65, depending on the tier that you're at. And that covers all your services for the year. And so that basically is our funding model. We do receive some government funding, and that's specifically targeted to performance programs or grow the game type initiatives. But yeah, the membership model is paying for your BC Golf and Golf Canada membership.
But you are recognized. British Columbia Golf is recognized by the provincial government as being the authority.
That's right,
the golf authority.
That's right,
and that's not unlike other provinces.
No, again, we are one of the provincial golf associations, and then even within BC, we'd be the same as Hockey British Columbia or Softball BC.
So let's start at the beginning here, and it doesn't. I'll say a pseudo Reader's Digest version of Matthew Steinbach and your journey here.
Yeah, started playing golf as a young kid in Sylvan Lake, Alberta. Rode my bike to a 9-hole par 3 course and fell in love with the game. And then
Sylvan Lake,
Alberta.
I know where that is.
Yeah. So top of the hill, again, would ride my bike with my clubs. A buddy and I would go out and we'd just play sun up to sundown. And even though I was a hockey player, I think my parents started to see that I enjoyed playing and moved to Red Deer and was a sponsored junior at the Red Deer Golf and Country Club and started playing in a few local tournaments and posting some decent numbers. And that kind of got some attention throughout the province. So I started playing provincial and national championships. Lo and behold, I earned a golf scholarship to Central Connecticut State, Division I program on the East Coast. Did that for 1 year, and then ended up transferring to Simon Fraser University, where I played and did my undergraduate.
Were they NCAA? Were they
so
Division II?
We were NAIA at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, but coming off of a phenomenal kind of period of 1999 and 2000, where they ended up coming second at NAIA Nationals. They had an individual national champion and some really, really strong players on the team. So when I showed up at SFU, the roster was deep and it was really tough.
What year are we talking?
I joined in 2002.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then I played university golf, played my amateur championship golf, and I was a good player. I was a plus handicap. I was coming, top 5, top 10 at the amateur championships, top 25 Canadian amateur championships. But the thought of turning pro probably scared me a little bit. I loved to win, but I didn't hate to lose, and I just kind of didn't have that extra gear in me. At the same time, I graduated university with some student loans and needed to pay those off right away. So upon graduation, I stopped playing golf and joined General Mills, a multinational. Started as a sales rep in Northern Alberta and kind of through a progression of roles over 8 years in Edmonton and Calgary and Vancouver, moved up to kind of the regional sales director for...
Were you still playing golf? Were you still...
So at this time, golf was my passion. And the way I would describe it is I would use all my vacation days to travel and play golf. So my dad and I, we would go to Bandon Dunes every November. So I'm one of the early Bandonistas that would head out there. Went to Scotland quite a few times, paired it around great championships. So Ryder Cups, Open Championships. But
were you playing any amateur events?
Wasn't playing any tournaments, really. I think I played one BC-Am and one BC Mid-Am. But other than that, just, wasn't competitive with it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then finished my time at General Mills. They had the 3 strikes and you're out rule. So offered the promotion to head office in Toronto and didn't really want to head out east. And finally I was like, okay, you're done. Here's your package. See you later. And as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next, I explored a lot of different avenues, but I kept coming back to golf because it's something that I just loved. And finally I decided, you know what, I'm going to work in the golf industry. I didn't want to work as a golf pro or necessarily, in the golf shop. But I knew I wanted kind of heading down the path of becoming a general manager and managing a golf club. As I was looking at different opportunities, I actually was hired by BC Golf. And that was my first role out of General Mills, was working for BC Golf as the golf participation manager. So really this was kind of late, I guess mid 2010, so 2015. The game of golf wasn't in a great place. Participation was declining. There's this whole demographic of people that were called millennials, and we're trying to figure out how to entice them to play the game a little bit more. And so that's kind of when I stepped into the golf participation era. I only did manage 1 year with BC Golf because at the same time I was helping out my alma mater, SFU. And sadly, our head coach, who coached me and was still running the program at the time, John Buchanan, he fell ill. And so they needed someone to take over. So I took over as head coach on an interim basis, not really having any experience coaching or knowing what to do. I jumped into the role and absolutely loved it, and ended up coaching at SFU for 8 years, and really brought the team from a strong NCAA program, especially on the men's side, to basically the top of the NCAA on both the men's and women's side.
What years?
So this was 2016 through 2024.
2024.
Yeah.
The role of BC Golf, like you talked a little bit about your journey here, but it's multifaceted. There's a lot of things that you do. And my ignorance, my ignorance really, and until I did my research. But you start at the junior level and you work your way all the way up to the top level.
Yeah.
And what do you do for let's start with junior golf.
Yeah. So it's funny. I think just at the very beginning there, it isn't just your ignorance. The number one question I get asked is, what does British Columbia Golf do? Who are you? What do you do? And I think that's partly on our shoulders as well, from a brand and a marketing standpoint, is to share our mandate and what we're doing and how we're supporting the province. From a player development standpoint, and that's one of the areas that we focus in, we are helping to support junior golfers at kind of first touch and then all the way to last touch. And so we're also supporting the seniors. So at the junior level, a lot of what we would be involved in would be kind of community golf initiatives. And so in partnership with Golf Canada and the First Tee, we would be involved with some of those projects. So we're actually in communities delivering first touch golf experiences that aren't on green grass golf courses. And so what that means, it could be, you could be in a community center, you could be in a gym, you could be in a school, you could just be at Canada Days downtown or at Ribfest in Kamloops, but basically large festival type atmosphere where families are there with young kids, and you're literally putting a plastic golf club, adaptive golf club in their hands for the very first time. Mm-hmm. So that is literally the first time that junior boy or junior girl has ever touched a golf club. And it's really just introducing the game of swing the club, hit a ball, and ideally it's fun. And you're kind of implanting that for future years. And so that would be the most basic level. And so we have one dedicated staff member who's looking at kind of that intro to golf and that participation introduction phase. So
then are you at the junior level? Are you identifying players?
And so then this is where we would head to next, and so that ID network, that would be Golf Canada's encouragement for us. That's really what they want us to do. Being completely truthful, we're not there right now. And so this is some collaboration that would be on our shoulders with BC Golf, but it also we would want to work with the PGA of BC pros. They're the ones working at the golf courses. They're seeing the members every day. And that's kind of where we're going from that first touch introduction of non-golfers to now you're running a junior program. Now you're having a junior league. And so we would be introducing brand new competitive players to the game. And so this is where we'd be tracking some key metrics, wanting to identify the best players, and ideally, passing those players' names on to Golf Canada and their talent network.
One of the things, and I'm going to sort of hone in on this, you Sylvan Lake.
Yep.
And the thing is, and my story is the same. And I grew up in southern Manitoba. I could ride my bike to the golf course, Lake Minnewaska golf course, 9-hole golf course in Morden, Manitoba, and it was accessibility.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you and one of the things about golf is that in order to not only just grow the game, to nurture talent, you have to provide accessibility.
Yeah.
What does BC Golf do in that regard? Now I know that you're I can tell by the look of
it's the biggest problem. It's a great problem to have right now, but the game of golf is growing. It's been growing since 2020. It is tough to find tee times. It is tough to get access to a golf course. We are not in a position to tell golf courses, be them public, private, or owned by anyone, how to run their business model or what to offer up for accessibility on their tee sheet. And so there would be other partners in the golf world who certainly would be able to answer the access question a little bit better. But we do have a challenge to actually get access to golf courses. And so we see this from our championships where we're trying to secure, a number of championship courses to host 3 or 4 day events. It's really tough to get that access. And even the PJ and LPJ, when they're coming across Canada, it's tough to get access to golf courses. So again, I'm not denying that, that is true. From a junior golf standpoint, one of the worst things you could do is get someone real excited for the game, plant the seed, plant that bug, get them interested, and there's nowhere for them to play. I think one of the key areas, and this is kind of changing with golf consumption habits, is what type of golf we're playing. So you're seeing alternative formats, pitch and putts, par 3 courses, indoor golf, simulator golf, even just driving range and kind of the tech associated with driving ranges, be it Top Golf or Launchpad in Alberta, or even, some of the games that they have on TrackMan or Flight Scope at ranges. That is giving an additional venue, an additional supply to actually get out and play golf. But as far as 18-hole green grass golf courses, it's a challenge right now, and there aren't a lot of courses being built in our province right now.
Mm-hmm. So, but you would be able to. I would imagine you'd be able to swing your weight around a little bit. Or no?
No, I would say I wished.
You wish.
Being 6 months into the job and kind of understanding the challenges to get access to a tee sheet, it is difficult. And again, being the provincial association, we are not in charge of managing the golf courses. And so the NGCOA, the National Golf Course Owners Association, they would be leading in that area. Private golf clubs, obviously their own membership and kind of what they make available to the tee sheet. With that said, we have so many great partners in the province that actually do open the golf courses for us and do provide access and will, quote unquote, lose money or lose some revenue to provide access for our championships. We're so grateful for those partners and really want to make sure that we're amplifying who they are and what their message is.
So moving on here, British Columbia players there is what Brad Ewert's got the
Grizzly Tour.
The Grizzly Tour. Thank you.
Yep.
And then the next level is what is it called? The Maple Leaf or the
there's so many tours.
How many
province? There are so many tours that I don't even know the number. And I wouldn't want to name one over the other. I think the biggest challenge we have in BC, but in Canada right now, is you could play 12 months of the year tournament golf. And I don't think that's helping our players develop. And I think just like any sport, if you're specializing early on and just playing one sport over the other, that it's actually hurting your chances to develop. And so I would encourage playing multi-sport. So I'm willing to put that out there. We have within the province of BC 8 zones, and that kind of splits up our province. And we have junior events in all of our zones. And those are British Columbia Golf junior events. We run them. Our zones and our zone volunteers run those events. On the junior boys side, those would be qualifiers for our junior boys championship, our provincial championship. On the girls side, they don't need to qualify for our junior championship, but that would be really kind of an intro to playing tournament golf. So we'd put our championships first and foremost, and again, our provincial championships are feeders to Golf Canada championships. But from a junior standpoint, yeah, you would have, Brad Ewart's the Grizzly Tour, MJT, CJGA, JPT, AJGA is coming up here, Notah Begay Junior Tour. I'm probably missing a bunch more. There are too many options for junior golfers and especially their parents to play. And I think it's confusing to know where to go and at what level to play and how many events to play. I actually see that as part of our role as more of that education and information side of it, where we can provide the resources to parents so that they know what events are appropriate for the age, the skill level, and of course the budget. Because traveling across the province or across Canada or North America to play tournaments, it's expensive. Yeah,
it's not cheap.
Yeah,
and that's another issue too with the game is it's not cheap.
Again, if we just called accessibility, right?
Yeah.
And so can you actually get out onto a golf course or can you afford to get out to a golf course?
Yeah.
It's something that has faced the game of golf since its origins. So since it was a royal and ancient game.
Yeah. And what has happened here, and because I came out here in 94.
Yeah.
And I was one of those prairie boys that was putting Super Value bags on my feet and playing at Swanee Set, in November, December, January, thinking it was so cool.
Yeah.
And now you won't get me, forget it.
Yeah.
What an idiot I was. But you can play the game 12 months of the year.
Absolutely.
Here. You absolutely can. But it's a hell of a lot nicer in a sim facility when it's nice and warm and you're hitting real golf balls instead of rocks.
Yeah, and the technology is so advanced now that it's providing all the metrics that you would want.
100%.
20 years ago, you would say, oh, it didn't catch the flight of the ball, or it didn't fly where I wanted it to, or is that real? And now there's no really doubting the data. In fact, if you look at the high level, the tour players, they're using the sims to refine their game down to the exact yard or to the exact spin rate.
Well, and that the interesting thing about sim golf though too is that you can't help but get better.
Yeah.
Because of reps. The more reps, and the thing is that's practice.
Yeah. And
I'll bring Chris's name up again because we're talking about purposeful practice.
Yeah.
Like when you go, and it took me a long time to learn this too, because I used to go to the range and just pump balls. Okay, what's your point? Yeah. What are you trying to accomplish here? Okay, and the thing is that range balls. I don't know when the last time you went and got a bucket of range balls. They're not cheap.
No,
and they're rocks.
Yeah.
And you can't, you're not going to, you're not playing like a regular golf ball there. And so I look at that and go, okay, well, what am I doing now? In my years of going to the range, when I hated practicing, that was my biggest issue, is I wanted to play.
Yeah.
It was boring to go to a driving range, and it just was. I was fortunate enough, though, that I could go and shag my own balls when the sun was going down. I could go to the golf course on my bike with my buddy, and we'd have our own Adidas bags, and we'd be walking along, and we have our picker, and we'd be just hitting balls into, playing the first hole over and over and over again until the sun went down. Yeah. I don't think that opportunity exists anymore.
Yeah, it's a little bit tougher to do that on-course practice.
Yeah.
Right. And to your point, hitting balls on a driving range is great. And again, if you're looking at golf as a game, just physically getting out and swinging the club and hitting the ball, seeing it fly in the air, absolutely. It's wonderful. When we start talking about golf being a sport, and to me, that's where we're training and we're looking at those incremental gains and how I can improve and get better. The technology is almost required at that level, and simulator environments provide probably the best environment for you to actually get those numbers.
Well, and I'll admit this. I will admit this freely. I work out, okay, and I in the gym with golf. With it's not. Yes, it's because I want to be able to pick up my grandchildren and do all the kinds of things you want to do when you get old, but it largely revolves around golfing and strength.
Yep.
My hips.
Yep. That longevity, right?
Exactly.
It's something that you can play your entire life. So why not?
That's
give
correct.
your body
Exactly.
a chance to play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I admit that freely, and I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos on strength training and keeping my club head speed. I know what my club head speed is, and I know it's pretty darn. It's good club head speed for a chap my age. I could still pump the ball, and don't necessarily always know where it's going, but I can do that. But the thing is that the wonderful thing, like you said about the game, is that you can continue to play it until. And it was something that I did with my dad till he passed. Yeah. It's fun. Yeah. It is actually fun. Now I'm going to ask you. I want to ask you your opinion on a couple of things here. Being you're the grand poobah of golf here in the province of British Columbia. Music on the golf course.
This is an interesting question because there are times where I will listen to music on the golf course and I enjoy it. The other groups shouldn't know what song I'm listening to. And there's other times where I absolutely detest having music on the golf course. So I think really it's understanding where you're at, what the environment is, there's the etiquette of the game, but then there's probably the etiquette of the club itself. And just understanding really what's acceptable. But in general, I've probably moved more towards music's okay on the golf course.
Mm-hmm. For yourself, as long as it's just your. But the thing is, so that you hear it.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
There are some driving ranges that I've been to where I know in the afternoons on weekends they have a band out playing or they put music on. It's a social event. There's drinks, there's appetizers, and it's creating more of a social feel.
Okay,
I'm becoming okay with that. I've been on the golf course. Like I said, I love going to Bandon Dunes. I was there a few years ago and one of the buddies groups were there and they were playing in an eightsome ahead of us. And we knew every song that they were playing and the lyrics were explicit and it detracted from our experience without a doubt. And my dad, who's does not like music on the golf course, wanted to say a few things. And I said, they actually have a right to be out there. So I'm kind of taking the middle road here where, yes, as a traditionalist of the game, I don't think I would encourage music to be on the golf course. At the same time, if it's late afternoon, if I'm riding a cart, if it's a social environment, I welcome it.
Okay. BC players are on the verge or that we should be watching for?
Yeah.
Which players?
I think number one for me would be Leah John. What she did this year on the Symetra Tour, winning an event in her first year and then, really grinding through a tougher Q school with multiple stages. And then getting full status on the LPGA, it's remarkable. So I'm excited to see what Leah can do. She's a phenomenal athlete. I had the chance to follow her when she was a junior, and not surprising at all that she's at this level. So that's a great one. Our two young BC boys, Adam Svensson and AJ Ewart, again, needed to come top 5 at PGA Tour Q School this year.
Did.
And they pulled through. Svensson with a great final round. AJ with all the pressure, kind of being near the top of the leaderboard from day one. Really excited to see what they can do. So those are probably, again, on the big tour, the names that I think we should be looking at.
What about lower in the province here, provincially, still having amateur status, that ones that they might be playing college golf. They're just, or they might be going the scholarship route. They might be.
I think the name that stands out the most to me is a gentleman named Austin Cron. And Austin, he won all 3 of our men's amateur tournaments this year. So the junior boys, the men's amateur, and the men's Indigenous championship. He's on Team Canada. He decided not to go to the college route. So he's staying an amateur and playing competitively.
Where does he
as
play
a 19-year-old? He is in the interior. His family owns a par 3 golf course. I can't remember the name of it. I think he's in Christina Lake.
Okay.
What I would say about Austin is watching him come down the stretch at the junior this year at Colchina and then the men's am at Bootleg Gap is on the final 9 holes when all the pressure was there, he rose to the challenge and his playing partners were playing great golf. But on holes 16, 17, 18, on both events, Austin was facing kind of those 10 to 15 foot putts for birdie that he needed to make. And he knew the ball was going in the hole. The ball knew the ball was going in the hole. And everyone watching knew the ball was going in the hole. And he clutched up in a moment of pressure. And there's only a few players in my life that I've ever seen really rise to that occasion. So he's someone that I'd be.
How old is he?
He's 18.
He's 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would put his name up there.
Okay.
And it reminds me of Chris Corsalgo, actually, one of those big game players where the bigger the moment, the more people watching, the tougher the shot. They thrive in that environment and really rise to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any others?
On the women's side, we're very fortunate in BC with a number of junior girls and amateur girls. Lauren Kim's had a phenomenal career. I think she has one more year left at University of Texas after this year, but has played in the Augusta National Women's Amateur. So kind of one of the top ranked AMs that we've seen. Clara Ding's been phenomenal. Anna Huang, who won twice on the Ladies European Tour this year, is from BC as a 16-year-old. So not sure the attention that she's getting for her accomplishments, but yeah, a Vancouver product who's playing pro golf at age 16 in Europe. And on the senior women's side, Shelley Stouffer, she is winning everything. She won the Irish Senior Ladies. I think she was top 10 at the British Senior Ladies. And really, would be a top 5 senior woman in the world of golf right now, out of Parksville.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So now let's just talk about your predictions. What and you took on the CEO mantle in July?
Started in July.
In July.
Yep.
And where do you obviously new boss,
yep.
new direction. Where what's the plan?
Yeah, I was fortunate that I had experience with BC Golf. I knew a lot of the staff. I knew kind of how the organization ran. And then having a chance to look behind the curtain and see where we were going really spurred on. We started a new strategic planning process in September, and it's still ongoing. So it's gone a little bit longer than we had initially set out for. But I think that's because we're in such a unique place in the world of golf right now where participation is at an all-time high. Golf is cool. It's mainstream. Golf fashion is what people are wearing on the streets. Celebrities are involved with the game of golf. So we are at the pinnacle. Some of the golf research publications will say we're in the fourth quarter, though. And so we're being a little defensive with some of our strategic planning and predicting that 5-10 years down the road, golf may not be in the same place.
Do you think that was driven by COVID?
There's different theories, but without a doubt, the one piece that we all know for sure is one of the biggest health values and one of the biggest benefits from the game of golf is that social connection piece. Mm-hmm. And COVID really brought that to the forefront, right? There's physical benefits, there's mental benefits, but physically we were allowed to get together with friends out on a golf course and spend 4 hours in a time where social connection was strained or wasn't even allowed. And so golf really highlighted that it could be something different. At the same time, the new rules of golf came in 2019 from the RNA and the USGA, and a lot of it was relaxed. And a look at etiquette, when you look at rules, the music question, it all kind of a confluence of all this happening right around 2020. So COVID certainly had a lot to do with it. Mm-hmm. But there were a number of other factors that really made golf more accessible. And so I think that was kind of the big factor. From a time standpoint, what COVID did, especially for my generation, is allowed us to work remotely, allowed us to have flexible work hours. So that Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 in the office is no longer. So I can book a tee time in the middle of a week now and go play. And quite often that's easier than on the weekends. And so it provided some flexibility with how we play and when we play as well. So COVID did bring all that forward.
The one thing and it's, I don't think it's a touchy subject, but it may be, but by the growth of the game, there has been I guess I'll say a thought. It's more than anecdotal thought. It's evident you see more things happening on the golf course than you used to. And I mean things that are just, you don't do that. And I never thought that you would need to, when you come in and you're paying your green fees, maybe fill out a little form here and check off a couple of boxes so that I know that you know what you're doing and that you're not supposed to, like a round of golf shouldn't take 5.5 hours.
Right.
Or, you just some simple things. And I'll tell you this. This comes from a guy here who, if you got me out on a golf course for more than 4.5 hours for a round, you're losing me. You're losing me. You're losing me big time.
Yeah.
And it's driven me away to certain golf courses that I won't play. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm a guy, I play by myself.
Yeah.
I don't have a foursome I play with. I don't have occasionally I'll play with a buddy, but I usually just show up by myself, and I like it that way because I enjoy talking to people, and, it's fun. And where else would you spend 4.5 hours or 4 hours with somebody that you've never met? And it's wonderful. Yeah. It's wonderful. So
yeah, it's
there's a question in there.
There is, and there's a lot of areas that I can touch on. I think the important part here is, yes, growing the game and introducing new people to the sport. There is also a responsibility to help provide education on some of the customs, the etiquette to the game. Replacing a ball mark, fixing a divot, all of these can
picking up someone's club on the green that is someone left there and not keeping it.
Yeah, all of these
those are just
not hitting into the group in front of you, right? So that is absolutely that needs to happen. The pace of play question is actually the big one, and so that is one where in North America especially it's a challenge. And I've been to Scotland. I was living there for the last year, and I had a Scottish fellow explain it to me. He thought I was American, but he said in Scotland and America we all take 6 hours to play golf. He said, in America, you sit on a cart, you drink your beer, you eat your hot dog, and it takes you 6 hours to play. In Scotland, we walk for 3 hours, finish, go to the pub, and drink for 3 hours. Right? So I just said it just takes 6 hours. But yeah, the pace of play is a challenge. And this is where some education resources are required. And so as part of our strategic planning process, like I shared, we did industry surveys with all the key stakeholders in the golf industry. And that was one of the areas that kept coming back, is they said, BC Golf, your members are the players of the game. They're the people that are out playing. We want you to do more to help educate, especially the beginner players, on just a few of these customs, a few of these etiquette pieces that perhaps they've missed, because all they're doing is going on YouTube and looking at how to swing a golf club, but there's no YouTube videos, or at least they're not getting a lot of views on, again, how to fix a ball mark properly.
Yes. Yeah. Or repair a divot.
So that is something we're absolutely looking into, and an area that we want to make sure we're providing those resources. The checkbox at the beginning, I've also heard it similar to like when you get on an airplane, and if you're in an emergency aisle, you have to read the safety instructions and verify that I know how to do this. And if you don't,
open the door
in a different seat, right? So there could be something. But again, that wouldn't be us. That would be the golf courses that could.
Golf courses would have to institute that, because that is pace of play is a huge.
It is, and again, if I'm looking at it from a golf course perspective, the slower the round, the few players I can get out, the less money I can make.
You want to get them through.
Pace of play.
You want to get them through.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into predictions.
Yeah.
Where do you see the game going here? In we live in a golf mecca here in obviously in Canada. It's the best place in the world to live.
Yep.
I should say best in Canada. It's the best part of Canada to live in, and that comes from a born and bred Manitoban. There's no better place.
Yeah. I would agree again. And when you look at a lot of the golf professionals in Vancouver and the Lower Mainland, they're coming from across Canada because it is a 12-month of the year job. So even the talent from the PGA pros is probably some of the highest that we see in the country. But I think the biggest prediction, and we were touching on this earlier, is simulator golf, indoor golf, and really what that can do from different pathways. So we were talking about the competitive side of it, but from an entry point, it's also a fantastic avenue to just be accessible and easy. You don't have to book a tee time. You don't have to go through the pro shop. You don't have the first tee jitters of standing up there and everyone watching. If you happen to shank a ball, you don't have
You'll
to
never lose a ball.
Walk over to the fairway and know when do I grab it now, run in front of the group. You're in a safe little, studio, stall, whatever, and you have the chance to just play with your friends in a social environment. And it's becoming more time-based. So I'm booking for an hour, I'm booking for 2 hours. And so again, that pace of play doesn't even matter at that point. It's just, I'm going to do an activity, and it's an experience that I'm either going to do by myself or competitively with friends or socially with friends. And there's so many different sims out there that cater to that. So I see that as a huge, huge growth area for the game of golf. And again, we're blessed with 12 months of the year golf here, but as we know in the winter still, it's still chilly. And the neat part, and this is where I'd plug for our sim providers, is in the summer, if you're having trouble finding a tee time because there's too many people out playing, go play some simulator golf.
Yeah.
Go get some work in there. So I see that as a huge opportunity. Other predictions for the game of golf, and yeah, I think alternate formats, so short courses, par 3 courses, putting courses, community putting greens, backyard golf. I think, we were chatting earlier about Matt Paulsberg and kind of what they're doing at the backyard in Surrey. That format, that community putting green, that community area, I think that's
that brings up something interesting. Yeah. My background is in the newspaper business, and one of the papers that we bought was in Yucca Valley, which is just north of Palm Springs. Okay. And the family that owned a chain of newspapers, and back in the day in the 50s and 60s, they owned a great deal of newspapers. And the father, who's long since passed away, he built in Yucca Valley, he built a 6-hole golf course.
Yeah.
And the reason he built the 6-hole golf course is because you could play it in an hour.
Right.
You could play it in an hour. And that's because he wanted to just go at lunchtime and play a round of golf, or in the morning, an hour. And it's actually, I've seen it. I've been there. It was the first time I'd ever seen a 6-hole golf course. And and if you want to play 18 holes, you can play 18 holes. You go 3 times. That's it.
Yep. And you're starting to see this format more and more with even, 3 6-hole loops. Mm-hmm. So again, you can have starting on all 3 tee boxes at the same time. You can do 5-hole loops, 3-hole loops. And if you go back to the origins of the game in Scotland, they were just building the number of holes for what the land provided. So you had some 12-hole courses, you had some 15-hole courses, you had some 22-hole courses, but really it was, what do we have around us? And so the short courses, the 9-hole courses, those are growing. That's where we're seeing growth and expansion. And even the big resorts, Abandoned Dunes of Pinehurst, they're all adding like a community putting green, a punch bowl putting green, as a social way after the round to go and putt the ball around. And you're still swinging a club, you're still hitting a ball, but it's a different format. So I see growth in that area too.
Demographically speaking, does BC Golf track that, or do you?
So we aren't currently. It's one of the big projects we're working on. So we'll be looking to bring on board a CRM and start tracking some of these demographic details. And so in general, we can basically say we look like the province. But I think one of the biggest pieces is right now what we would consider a member is someone who buys a Golf Canada or BC Golf membership, but that doesn't capture everyone who's playing the game of golf, right? And I think that's probably one of the differences from the way I look at it is, if I go to Stanley Park Pitch and Putt on a Saturday in the summer, there's a 2-hour lineup of people wanting to go play. Most of them probably don't have a BC Golf membership, but they're swinging a club, they're playing. So we also need to make sure we're talking to them and sharing information with them. And so I think that'll be one of the big changes that I'm looking to bring on this next year.
And are you the package that you would reiterate the package of that? If I become a member of BC Golf, what I get?
Yeah. So from a Golf Canada standpoint, BC Golf standpoint, it's the same thing. So I know at times it does get confused, but you're buying a membership to your provincial golf association and your national golf association. So you have all the course rating, handicapping components. So anytime you play a round of golf, you can post a score, and your handicap will be calculated for you. So if you're looking to play in any league events, any tournament events, you need to have a certified handicap. That's the only way to do it. So that would be kind of the primary pillar there. The additional benefits from the app itself is anytime you need GPS, go on the Golf Canada app, every golf course is in there. And all of a sudden now I can follow it and I know what hole I'm on, how far I am to the green. And so you can start doing all of your GPS that way. From a off course, so the simulator.
See, I didn't know that.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. From an off-course standpoint, it just launched in December, but there's a toggle button. I go off course. It now has geolocation and gives me all the simulators in my area that I can go play at. And then it'll also give you what type of place it is. So is it a licensed facility and you have to be over 19, or is it a family friendly that doesn't have pizza and drinks? And so it'll actually help guide you to the right facility for you to find.
Okay.
So it has the geolocating on golfing. If you want to start tracking your steps or some of your biometric data, it can link in with any of those types of apps. And then you can add your friends, have competitions. Have I walked the most holes this year? Have I walked the most kilometers this year? So it has all the functionality on the app there. Then there's the general benefits, discounts for rental cars, discounts for hotels. Mm-hmm. But I think the biggest one, and this is the one that I say for last on purpose, is you get golf club insurance. So if you lose your golf club, if you break a golf club, if your rangefinder gets left behind and you have a membership, you can put in an insurance claim and we'll cover the cost of it.
Wow.
So not a lot of people know about that either. So those are the big benefits of.
I'm learning stuff here, Matt.
Yeah.
I'm learning stuff. Okay. So, and we'll leave it with there's one last thing here that in BC Golf, your role in the bigger picture of things within Canada. What was it?
Yeah.
And what do you vision it as being?
It's a timely question, and I think it really represents the changing of the guard from my predecessor, Chris Jonason, who did a phenomenal job for 30 years of stewarding BC Golf along. And we had a retirement dinner for him in December, and he was called a disruptor. And so he was leading the charge with provincial golf associations and within Golf Canada of really being at the forefront of new initiatives like course rating, handicapping, pace of play policies, DEI initiatives. He laid that groundwork so that I can come in my position. We're in a good place with the game of golf growing, participation is high, and I don't see myself as a disruptor. I see myself more as a collaborator. And I think the one piece that I know is going on in the golf world right now is, be it at the provincial level, national level, or individual golf courses here and there, there's so much great work being done. There's so many people doing amazing stuff. Birdies, Babes, and Beats, what Courtney Campbell is doing to introducing women to the game there. If you look at the First Tee and some of the initiatives that they've got going on, all these pockets are happening, but no one's really amplifying the message or sharing it more publicly outside from our podcasters. Uh-huh. But I see us as a provincial association, we're the ones that should be kind of at the center of it. And we don't need to create it, but we need to amplify, augment, make sure it's being shared, sharing resources, and working closer with all the various golf stakeholders. So one of the key pieces for me is I'm also a PGA of Canada member. And as I mentioned earlier, we want to work closer with our PGA pros. Our members, the people who play golf daily, they don't see us. They see their PGA pro on a daily basis at the golf course. Mm-hmm. And so we want to make sure that they're armed with the information of who British Columbia Golf is, what we provide as resources, funding opportunities that we can provide to the club or to players, and make sure that they're in the loop, as well as our other allied golf partners, the golf course superintendents, the turfgrass, golf course managers, NGCOA. We want to make sure that we're working collaboratively. And so we've already taken quite a few steps in that direction to make sure we have a more unified voice in golf.
Mm-hmm. In closing, and I'll ask, you went through if people wanted to get more information, what's your website?
BritishColumbiaGolf.org.
BritishColumbiaGolf.org.
It's a good website, but it
needs a little work.
It needs a lot of work. Yeah. And so that would probably be the number one.
It needs a little work.
That's the number one piece of advice/complaint that we receive. And we have a survey right now that's out to the public in the province and just getting some of their attitudes on British Columbia Golf, who we are, what we can do to support them more. And the number one complaint is our website. So navigation is a bit tricky. The top left corner, the search.
I know.
That's where I live. It is something that we're looking at. We have a new timeline. So our fiscal year begins October 1st. So we're hoping that'll be the launch of a new website. So I'll put it out there today for everybody.
On the record.
But yes, we are looking to update our website, update our social channels. And again, that kind of collaborative piece, sharing information is so vital. And having those resources easy to find is so important for our mission. And so we do need to do better at that.
Okay. Well, on that note, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank riversidegolf.ca for sponsoring this podcast. Matthew Steinbach, I would like to thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
You are more than welcome to come again.
Appreciate it.
there's an invitation, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ian.